G'day guys. So I've come here to talk about, I guess my own personal, not my personal shit, this personal shit, with episodes. And I just want to say something. I'm really proud of how they've turned out. I mean, like when I first started this story, I think it was like 2 years ago. I knew that I'd eventually end up here. I knew that the Dragonborn story would eventually, get to the point where all these characters have had their walks of life, they've had their stories, and they would then bleed into her story. And I knew that I would have to somehow. I wasn't completely sure how I would manage to have these characters come into each other's vicinities and bleed together. Like it's easy telling a character story like Cecilia, and she's a vampire that only feeds off the bad, and she's very much, I guess, Skyrim's Batman. I didn't even realize this until a couple of months ago, but she's that kind of character, and she's got Freya as a young girl she raises to become a daughter and all that sort of stuff, and having all these characters bleed together was like, it was just an idea that sat in my head for months upon months, and I'm finally proud that I've gotten here and that I've actually done a decent job with it. I mean, there are so many different walks of life right there. There's there's Minerva, the archaeologist, philosopher, arcane researcher, adventurer sort of character. She's many different sorts of characters. I mean, they are your typical characters of what they represent: the Imperial Soldier, the Stormcloak Soldier, the Mage. But I like to kind of add some spices to them in a certain way. But having all these different personalities come together, for me, it's a very proud moment when people start talking about these characters like they're real. It's like when you start talking about a Star Wars character, how someone references what Anakin would do in this situation, and then someone says that about your characters. I mean, it's not just a face anymore. It's not just someone's avatar. It's not just someone's character. They're Dragonborn. It's a character that feels like, for some people, that you can imagine they live and breathe. And that's the great thing about this. And a lot of this was actually due to the fact of Arcane, actually. Arcane, I didn't even know it was League of Legends until like the first act of Season 1. But that show, dude, blew me the fuck away. It actually gave me depression. Like, it probably did, man. I'm a very strong, stern dude, right, when it comes to any sort of emotional shit. You can't really fuck with me in that sort of manner, because I just don't let it get to me. I either redeflect it and be like, yeah, well, or I just ignore it completely, and it doesn't fucking bother me. But Arcane, dude, that gave me depression, dude. It fucking railed me, and fuck, dude, I want to become, like, I don't know, dude, whatever happens to me. I mean, this happened once before with Legends of Korra, funny enough. I was angry that she didn't get her romance with Asami, because when you watch your favourite character go through the absolute shit, you want to watch them find their happy moment. You want to watch them find their loving moment. And that didn't happen for Korra, and so I guess out of that pain, I built this Skyrim story, funny enough, because a lot of this Team Dragonborn shares a lot in common with Team Avatar. They can't teach her how to be the Dragonborn, but they can definitely support her and teach her a lot more things of life, having all these communities come together. Also, rip for that fella to the right, he recently died in the latest episode, the poor fella. I'll have a bit more on him a bit later on when Veronica speaks about him and stuff like that, because, once they're gone, they're not fully gone. They're dead. They're gone, but you can always still reference them in future stories. Anyway, so I built the story probably from the anger of Legends of Korra. I mean, I remember watching that in late 2019, before the coronavirus really kicked in, and this story it came to me because I was playing multiple characters in my save, and I thought there was this really cool story involved that I could get to it, and building it up from the ground up. I knew I'd eventually get here with all these characters coming together, and I kind of had no idea how I was going to bleed them together and make them feel authentic, make it feel like a story, not just some playthrough or this and that. So it's certainly been interesting climbing here ever since Arcane. I mean, like I said, Arcane, like, that was a show, man, that I will never forget, and I absolutely love that show. I don't want to watch it again because I do not want to open up that sort of fucking can of whoop ass on myself again. But, like, the level of their characters, and, like, that was impressive, man. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. My favourite character was Violet. That's my now favourite character, bro. Absolutely. And, like, the way their characters intervene with each other and that sort of stuff, it really made me want to dive deep into my own characters. I mean, I really wanted to get into not just my main characters, but also the side characters, like Nox right there, who's a Dremora, and her story is that she fought in the Oblivion Crisis for her lord. She killed, she was a bad guy. But when the gates closed, she decided not to follow, into her kinds, and hiding in caves and killing people. She camouflaged herself as a mortal and lived amongst the mortals and had free choice to do whatever she wanted. Even being a servant was exciting to her because it was of her own making. And I get to explore my story while you guys get to watch, and you guys get to learn all about these kinds of characters that just make up the story. And I love that. It's so cool seeing people's responses to my videos, and they talk about the characters like they're like like when the Nightingale died. I was recording, and she goes up and she kills this Forsworn. Now she's got the Lightfoot perk on, so she can't activate any traps. But she killed this Forsworn. His body fell back on a pressure plate, and the trap comes out, and she's gone, "Thanks for wasting my time," and then whoop, hit by the log trap, and it kills her. And I shit you not, man, I was laughing for like it took me like 5 minutes to load the footage because I forgot to turn it off. I was cracking up in tears, and I had to just cut all the shit out. But dude, that was the funniest thing ever. Having her die that way, because again, her Daedric Prince is the Daedric Prince of Luck, and if they want a soul, they could easily just take away all of her luck on that 1 second and kill her and claim the soul. It was so poetic in a sort of way. But and there's so much more I want to do with these characters. So much I have to remember, and I don't write any of this down. It all lives in my head rent free, unfortunately. But I really get to enjoy the challenge of having these, to me, man, I don't know how to explain it without either repeating myself or making myself sound insane, which is the same fucking thing. But I love the challenge of making these game characters, these just lifeless beings, and turning them into something people can actually enjoy and have their own little theories in their heads. That's the coolest thing. Having the Nightingale, for example, right? She's a very mysterious woman. She's just known as an identity. I mean, anyone that's watched the series knows that she's the Thieves Guild boss, and her name's Topher the Fox. And she only joins the Dragonborn there's 2 reasons to it. She joins the Dragonborn because dragons aren't good for business. And she's going to help the one thing that can kill them permanently, kill them. Because she can't really keep her wealth or go out and rob people if everything's burnt down and dead. So she joins the Dragonborn. But secondly, Centauros. Because Centauros was a major part of it in her life that helped save her life, that kept her alive when she was imprisoned. And when she saw him, and you saw him following her, it kind of gave her confidence to follow this Dragonborn. She's not a very trusting person, and that's kind of her life, because everyone she's trusted has betrayed her. Mostly everyone. So having someone that she actually did trust, following someone, kind of gave her hopes about that. Whatever. And having her, when I went into this story, I didn't know how I was going to really get the Nightingale to really communicate with everybody, because she's very secretive, she's very mysterious, and this is one of the first times we actually get to really see who she is, and she kind of has a face-to-face moment with the Dragonborn, because I've discussed this in many of my stories. When the Dragonborn, everyone that follow the Dragonborn will somehow see her or feel something before they see her, and they feel this overwhelming trust. Like she will guide them. And even in this moment, even though she's like this mysterious hidden person that won't reveal who she is, she takes off her hood and reveals who she is to the Dragonborn, which she feels she can trust her. It's kind of the very first time we actually get to see Topher the Fox as the Nightingale. And again, she won't reveal that to Centauros, even though she trusts him, because at the end of the day, him or Sigurd could win the civil war in her head. And she can't really afford having a top military general of either side knowing who she is, where she lives, and what she does. So she comes at this as the Nightingale. And I kind of love that in the story. Everyone else has got a name or a title. Minerva, the Archmage of the College of Winterhold. Tonarok, the Harbinger of the Companions. Centauros, I forgot his fucking rank. The Imperial Soldier. All that sort of stuff. But, then you've got the Nightingale. Just this shadowy figure. That shit was cool, man. And I definitely want to expand on her a lot more in the future. And I want her to sit down with the Dragonborn a few more times and actually have a conversation with things like that. I love the kind of, just the development that this happens, because none of it's ever planned. It just comes to me while I'm playing. I'm just muttering around a cave or a ancient ruin, or just in my car driving to the gym or going to work, and just idly by, and then these ideas just pop into my head. And I decided to follow a few of them. I mean, this is what I love about this. The story is so goddamn sandbox. And I've always wanted to redo this sort of story, because I've obviously learned a lot since I started this, as you can definitely see if you ever start watching my stuff. It's kind of and I'd love to redo it, but I don't know if I'd ever be able to capture the magic of what I'm doing here, man. Like, this feels magical, dude. The idea of, the idea of just how random this is, I don't think I'll ever be able to capture it. And do I follow the exact same routine that I did? Will it even work? Because some of these characters could be dead on the next run. I mean, a certain, what's his name? Lavius Swordsinger. He was an Imperial Stormcloak who died in the very first episode. And I really liked his character because it was born from the idea of what if Centaurus killed one of his CEOs for a certain crime that they committed, and he was taken into a cart, and there he's right there. He was taken into a cart and he was sent off to prison in the Imperial City to be executed or some shit like that, and he was freed by rebels and he joined them. So Lavius was the idea of that, but it certainly the character changed quite a bit. And I really liked that, man. I really liked it. And having him die straight up sucked ass, man. But I've got to stay true to the whole entire reason of these characters. That the sandbox life could live or die. They could, if I did this 5,000 times, man, none of these, a lot of these characters could either die at the very start or die at the very end. And I personally do not want my main characters to die, but if they do die, then they die. And I'll fucking hate that, man. If Freya dies, dude, that will break my heart. She is my favourite character by far. Not just, the way she acts, but her cosmetic items are fucking pinpoint. I love the way that I've designed her. The way she looks is perfection. But yeah, I'm very proud of where I've ended up with this so far. Being able to mould certain character stories together, like Serana and Ragni, right? They've kind of got similar lives in a way. Their fathers kind of became their leading figure in their life. Unfortunately for Serana, her father was an evil prick. For Ragni, it was more that he was scared of losing his girl, because his entire family were killed by vampires. And he had to be harsh on her, he had to be brutal on her, so when she was old enough to protect herself and he was gone, that, she would be able to protect herself. They have very similar stories. They're both closed away from the world by their fathers in a certain way. And having the opportunity to come back here to this family home, I did this once before before her journey changed forever, before she went to the Soul Can. I think it was I think it was just before Serana came back. She was here at this home, and she found that two older people had come to live in her home when she was gone. They found it empty and they lived in it. They just took it over. She didn't really care much because it wasn't really her home anymore. Her family was dead. And she was happy that they had a safe place to live, and I think it was during the winter. Don't remember it completely. But, she was able to visit these people and talk to them, and this is before she was Dragonborn. She's, in the area during a certain mission, she's able to come back to her family home and take Serana, the only person she'll ever trust with the knowledge of where she lived and who she was. I mean, Centaurus and Sigurd know that her father was a legionary, but they don't know much about him because she doesn't want them to. She loves them like family, but she wants to somewhat keep a part of herself private. To everyone, apart from Serana. She takes the one person that's a vampire, the very, very people that killed her family and changed her life forever, to her family home where she was born, where she was raised, where everything went bad. And she's able to come back here and show Serana this entire thing. And for me, that was magic. Dude, I'm pretty sure I teared up a little bit. This probably would have been, I think this was the episode where I was watching Arcane. This was that shit, bro. And again, I'm reeling from the experience of watching Arcane. So, having these two, I'm pretty sure certain moments of this, I was tearing up a little bit. I certainly was. And dude, that's embarrassing, dude, to even admit for myself personally. But I come to YouTube just to be myself. I mean, I keep to my passions, right? I'm not going to come on YouTube to be that I want to... calling myself a YouTuber, mate, it gives me pixelates. I really don't like the name. I'm just simply me up here sharing my shit with you guys. I want to be myself. I don't care about views. I really don't give a flying fuck. When it comes to stories, I'd love more views. That means more people get involved and the story gets bigger and better. And that's more people that get to enjoy or unenjoy, dislike the content. And I love that sort of stuff, man. I love the community, dude. That's the funnest thing about making these stories is sharing them. It's fun making them. It's pain in the ass editing them, but it's so much fun sharing with you guys, and that's what I do it for. I mean, that's the only reason why I do all this shit is to share it with people that get to enjoy a good story. And I'll tell you what, playing the game like this for the first time in 7, I did do kind of this back before I played before, like, when I was setting up the whole entire story, but it was nowhere near this detailed. And playing Skyrim like this, man, I've never had this much fun before in 13 years. For a game to be alive that long is impressive, but to find a new way to play Skyrim in that long, dude, is fucking amazing, dude. Like, if you've ever done anything like this, you'll understand what I'm saying. But I mean, there's only so many times you can re-roll your Dragonborn before you get bored of your Dragonborn, before you get bored of the whole entire idea of being Dragonborn. But having 8 main playable characters and miscellaneous setup characters in the background, dude, that is the shit, bro. I'm able to come back to these old places, these old locations, and tell stories like this. Like, before it was full of life with old people. Now it's rattled and it's got blood all over the place, and everything's kind of dark and cold, and it looks like something's happened, but you don't really know what happened. The old people that lived here, the Redguard lady and the old Nord, they're gone. Were they dead? Did they flee? What happened? But you don't know, and that's the fun thing about coming back to these old places. I've already seen arguments of people on YouTube about Arcane never returning to Piltover and Xan, and I definitely believe they will, because as a storyteller, I mean, you do get bored of telling a story of certain characters in certain places eventually, but after some time of places, like when you move on to a different character in a different location, you definitely do get excited to come back, and I was excited to come back to Ragni's home to show it off in a different light, or a different darkness that has ever been seen before, with Serana, especially someone that she loves. That's someone being a vampire, which pretty much flipped her life upside down. It was awesome to come back here because of all these sorts of things, the characteristics of it, the storytelling, the time, who she brought here with her, all this sort of stuff, and that, man, I absolutely love that. It was friggin' awesome, dude. One of my favourite moments was actually this here. Centaurus basically guarding the cave entrance and Sigurd making fun of him. I mean, this is honestly, man, my proudest sort of relationship when it comes to my entire story. I mean, anyone that watched the very first, I don't know if it was called Dragon and the Bear, but if you watched that episode, that chapter, you would have definitely seen what was happening with these two when they were sitting on top of it, Centaurus was at Fort Ragstag on the watchtower, and Sigurd was down at Mistwatch Keep, and they both sensed this weird thing across kilometers of each other, and they were looking at each other without even knowing they were looking at each other. And mostly everyone that commented on that video back then was like, they knew where this was going. And dude, it's so fun to finally get here, because not even I know when this relationship's going to kick off. I mean, with the latest episode, Last Breath, we kind of see it take a little bit of hold on Sigurd. We kind of see it kind of wake her up a little bit. And watching these two enemies that have been extremely loyal to their causes throughout the war, that hate the enemy, and watching them start off. I remember one of the funniest moments for me was when they first sat down the inn together, after they'd fought and killed the first dragon, with the Dragonborn. Sigurd's like, I'll try and be friendly to the fucking Imperial. And she goes to sit down, offer it and Centaurus goes, piss off, I don't speak to traitors. And I was like, oh, yeah, boy, yeah, what a king. And, watching their relationship, especially their argumenting, their fighting, even Sigurd trying to kill him, and this rash behaviour from Centaurus right here, and the very first person to kind of, sort of hold him back is Sigurd, his ultimate enemy. She grabs onto a weapon just to make sure, because she cannot let him attack his people. But she's like, dude, calm down, it's all right. Just chill. Just settle down. And she's able to convince him. Stormcloak, his enemy, is able to convince him to sheath his weapon, because he's cold, he's hungry, and he's surrounded by traitors. And seeing their relationship evolve from this point was so good, man. Dude, obviously, what do people call it? I've many references to the Romeo and Juliet without the shitty ending, hopefully. I mean, they're not going to commit suicide or anything like that, okay? But it's so fun developing these guys. I mean, it's so fun, dude, because I have no fucking idea where it's going to go. I have zero clue where this is going to go with these guys, and this is what I love about it, man. It needs to be right, it needs to be done right. So, I've mentioned this before, everywhere I go, when it comes to talking about these stories, but they're very sandbox. The narrative, the story, who lives or who dies, and how the story comes to be. It's all sandbox. It's not written down in my head. When you start these stories, you're going to know how it starts, how it builds, and how it ends. but along the way you've got so much room to tickle fate, and this is what this is, man. I don't know the exact moment they're going to have their moment. I have no idea. A good relationship, love story is, it's, especially when it's enemies to lovers, it's just bouncing around, learning how to become friends, ignoring what when they first looked at each other, it wasn't who they were, it was what they were. It was an Imperial, it was a Stormcloak. And then after time fighting together, being around each other for so long, you start to see them differently. You start to see them as someone that you can trust and fight with, and you stop seeing them as what they are, but as who they are. And that's one of the greatest things about love, is that you stop seeing someone from what you see them as and start seeing them for who they are. And I think that's taken a big turn in the latest episode when it comes to episode 10? 9? I don't remember. I think it's 9. Because I'm doing 10 at the moment. But, and you see that with Sigun really kind of take hold, where she sees Centaurus almost die, then he almost does die multiple times, and it kind of wakens certain feelings that she's buried or not completely known about. It wakens her up, sort of thing. Because I like to always mention this with Korra and Asami, is that you don't know what your true feelings are for somebody until they almost die, until you almost lose them. And it kind of, your entire emotional network just kind of ravages and tries to figure out what they truly mean to you. And it's developing in a good part. I mean, I had him for an episode and honestly, man, I planned on continuing that. I really did. I was like, they're going to kind of dodge each other for a few weeks, maybe a month, or something like that. And somehow they're going to be brought back together. But having, Centaurus go down in that footage, because when I was filming that, I was just a camera up in the sky. I had no interactions with them whatsoever. I was not fighting at all. I want that to be completely and absolutely random. And then I saw Centaurus go down, and then the camera focuses on him, and I was like, holy fuck, bro. Holy fuck. And this is where the entire story has now changed because of that random moment. I now have to build off that. The story basically told itself, and now as its directional leader, as its director, I guess you could say, I have to follow that story. And so who knows? I mean, you have a plan of what's going to happen somewhat, and then it completely and utterly flanks you, and then you have to roll with it. And this is what I love about telling these stories to you guys, is that I have no fucking idea how it's going to end, how it's going to build up at the end of the day. I really don't know. I really have no idea what I'm doing here, but somehow you guys seem to like it. For example of random storytelling sandbox, the idea of this was just for Sigun to wake him up, and he was going to just get out of bed because he feels comfortable in this bed because it was his bed. It was his kind of first home, so he can always feel comfortable sleeping here. And he just gets out, naked, and she's going to be angry at him. But I thought, she's a Nord, and Nords are very much kind of like Australians. They're very mischievous sort of people. And she's just going to play a prank on him, scare the shit out of him, and he's going to wake up, jump out of bed, scared shitless, frightened, and just be full on dick out for the girls. And it just worked out. Like, I've showed this to everyone that I know, man. I showed this to my parents. And even my dad laughed at it. And my dad doesn't play video games at all. He's 70 years old. He's a hard working bloke. He's a trucker. And he cracked up laughing at this. And I thought this is one of my proudest moments of when it comes to comedy in this entire series. I wish YouTube wasn't so goddamn strict on nudity, but I mean, I crack up every time I watch this. It was kind of like, this is the first time Sigun's actually seen naked, and she doesn't give a flying fuck. I mean, she's seen it all before. She's a grown-ass woman. She's seen plenty of naked blokes. I mean, and the fact that she can even look at her enemy's junk and not give a shit shows that she doesn't really care that he's an Imperial anymore. They've just come to this friendly sort of relationship where they can prank each other. And Centaurus comes back down here, and he throws it back at her, when he's like, this is my house, even though it's officially her house now. And basically, he's like, all right, well, since I'm your guest, I think you should cook me some breakfast. And the face she gives him, man, it scares me. I'm not even in a relationship at the moment. I mean, that's the sort of face your girlfriend, your wife will always give you when you say something you really shouldn't. And it puts, that little boy, when you're 5 years old and you do something stupid and your mother looks at you with this face and she calls you by your full name, and you're like, you got that fear inside your gut. And this is just what it always reminds me of. And this, man, I love making these. I don't know if I'm going to keep repeating myself, so I'm going to try and filter some ideas to talk about before I start repeating everything. I should just do more videos kind of explaining this sort of stuff. But yeah, like I love the episode where basically Centaurus can basically convinces Sigyn to come to Solitude. It does so many things. She's able to communicate with the characters in the background. She's been there since I created her, I think, when Ragni was at the Bard's College, along with Cecilia, the sort of Nordic elf sort of chick. And we never really got to see anything with her. I mean, I think Ragni talks about it once while she's sleeping with Centaurus. She goes, his house servant said she was gone, and that was her. And now Sigyn's having a conversation with her, finding out who she is, that she's some young Imperial woman from Cyrodiil that just took the job offer to go to Skyrim to work for a lord in Solitude, to take her little sister for a safe place to live and to work and that sort of stuff. And Sigyn's talking to her and trying to get to know Centaurus' name. It's just this unique little blending you find in a lot of TV shows where the main character will kind of just talk to someone minor. You might see him only once or twice, or you might see him in the background here and there. But to me, I love doing this stuff. It's just the little ideas that pop into my head. I'm able to chuck it in there, right? And it just shows that Sigyn's got interested in knowing a bit more about Centaurus. And I thought I'd shave his face this time, but I also thought Sigyn would kind of crack some jokes and be like, ugh. Because I think, being in cold countries, you find men are quite hairy. And being in Skyrim, being a cold country, they've got big beards and they're hairy men, and seeing Centaurus have his face shaved would be like, ugh, yuck. Because they're attuned to hairy men. Being a hairy man means you're a man. In parts of Skyrim, right? And she kind of makes fun of him. She's like, oh, it's disgusting. And he will take that into consideration in the future. So you might not see him be clean shaven for some time. But, it's kind of just the mix and bleeding of all these characters and stories, man. This is what I love doing because it makes it feel so much more real. It makes it feel more grounded for you as the audience. You get to, it's not just some playthrough anymore. It's a story. And these minor little things might have no overall reacting to the main story itself, but to the characters it does. And without characters, there's no good story. I mean, I could write an entire essay up, a fan fiction, and put it up on Reddit. But again, you're just going to read it and see it as a draft. Showing you guys this, you get to kind of bleed with the characters, and I love doing this stuff, man. Even the smallest things, especially now with, I keep fucking forgetting her name. Quintilius. I'm just going to call her Quintilius. Because I keep calling her Livia, but her name's not Livia. I don't know why I got it stuck in my head. But she's now going to be taking command of Centaurus' sort of forces for the Dragonborn because he was greatly injured and he's going to be out of the game for a while. And there's some things that I've got to really think of what he's going to do while he's not in the main story. I've got to keep him in the background. I've got to what happens to him, how he recovers and how he deals with it and how he molds to it and stuff like that. And that's the challenge, but it's one I really want to face, and because at the end of the day, you guys are my audience, and I love seeing your guys' reactions to this stuff. Like, comments are the best, man. I woke up today and I was like, oh, no comments, that sucks. And then I literally about to get out of my bed and I get one. I'm like, oh, fucking oath. And it was long, bro. It was long. And I was like, that shit was like, dude, that shit makes me proud, man. It makes all of it worth it. Putting all this shit together, the voices, everything, it makes it worth it. I do want to take a little note on AI, and I've talked about this in the past. AI can be used for most of the time as nefarious reasons. It'll have real people, like people will steal Donald Trump's voice or certain actors, and have them say absolutely horrible, twisted shit. It even happened with Todd Howard. He was one of my very first AI videos was a Todd Howard video talking about 3BBE, juicy pussy, and stuff like that. I'm not too sure he would have really appreciated hearing that. He might have laughed, who knows. But again, I'm using real people's voices. The actors are actually voice acted in Skyrim, and I've taken their voices without permission. I didn't even bother to ask, but I like to sit in a moral high ground where it will be, I'll never accept money for this, ever. Because again, these are actual voice actors. This is their job. And I do not want to take any sort of money from their voices, even if it is an AI machine duplicating that. It is still their voice. And so I will not accept money. I could easily put up like a donate $30 so I could pay for the cost of the AI program to use. But at the end of the day, I'm still taking money to use their voices. And I don't want to do that, man. I don't want to do that at all. I mean, if you're going to use AI, either it is to paint something, which a lot of artists will obviously get angry about because it's a skill they have and a machine just robs them of that, especially with voice actors and singers and stuff like that. They get angry with their voices being stolen. I do not want to be that. I don't want to be one of those people that use their voice. Like, I think you've heard Ragni, whoever, I don't know her name, the voice actress for the female Eventone, the one that is Lydia. I did forget to remove the fucking line from the Elduin fight because I was tired as shit. And I normally have them swear, so because it makes the AI get angry. Like if I go, kill those motherfuckers, like the AI will go, kill those motherfuckers, and they will actually get aggressive. So that's how I bring the emotion out in the AI when it comes to certain lines. And I forgot to remove that one. But I don't want to be that guy that kind of uses AI for all the wrong reasons. I mean, I would never be able to do stories about AI. Without these characters' voices, without these real people's voices, I wouldn't be able to tell you the story. At all. If I was given a legal notice to stop this, I'd have to. It would completely stop the storytelling altogether because I could not do it. I could not tell you the story without their voices. I mean, I want it to be their voices because they're part of Skyrim. It's their voices are Skyrim, you know. They're the people you come across in the game. It's their voices, and again, it is the most fundamental, the absolute main reason why I tell these stories. I mean, if I could not use their voices, like I said, this would never ever happen. And that's why I take pride in making sure that I don't go saying fucked up shit or using their AI in videos that aren't to their characters, because again, they were paid to voice these characters, to lend their voices to Skyrim, and I want that to stay the exact same way. That I want their voices to be relevant only to Skyrim. It's why I don't go chucking up YouTube videos with their voices in it, where I talk about random shit. Because, again, their voices belong in the game Skyrim, what they were paid to be used for, not my YouTube videos, not other random shit. So, yeah, look, I'll probably go windbagging on this for ages, and I'll probably do more videos on this later, just talking about certain episodes of what I enjoyed. But I do that with kind of the outros, and I might do a bit more of it, like, you know, a sort of longer video talking about these sort of things. Because this is kind of what I enjoy doing. I like to talk about things that I've done when it comes to these stories and the elements of the characters and all that shit in my ADHD head. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, because again, I'd love to grow the community with you guys. I really would, you know, having just this storytelling thing go on and have people have their ideas and their own little, like, I love when people, especially like when someone's created a play, like their save is my character. I got images in my Discord the other day. I'll show you real quick what it was, and it's fucking cool, absolutely cool. This is Max's Ragni, so this is his, and he's got the shield, he's got the arm, he's even got the hairstyle she's currently using, and got the blade if the image decides to load. Got Dawnbreaker. I mean, that's so cool. And even Dragon ran on the back of it, bro. Dragon's Bane. I mean, I love that dude. Like, someone like, dude, that is like the proudest moment, eh? That's like watching your kid walk. You know, like, dude, that's the coolest shit. Seeing someone take my character and make it their own, dude. Like, that is awesome. That's a proud moment, dude. And the next proudest moment is watching someone create their own stories on YouTube and take elements of my character but making it their own. Like, turning Cecilia from this vigilant imperial female vampire into maybe something so much different, like a high elven vampire that's a man or something like that. And I would love to see more stories like this on YouTube. I'd really want to get a lot of people do that. And one of the YouTubers that I associate with is called Icarus, and I'll show you his channel real quickly. Now, Icarus. I keep getting the name wrong. For some reason, I was not subscribed. I just fucking made sure I did. But this guy does create very unique characters for his story, multiple different playable characters, and it's so wild. But what I actually really love about this is that he doesn't use voiced AI. He actually has real people voicing these characters. A lot of it is an intro where he'll talk, like, you know, the character will introduce themselves, talk about this, talk about that, and then he'll play it for like he'll play it while he talks about the character story, about what they're doing, what he's doing with the character and stuff like that. And I love that. I mean, I don't know who these actors are, but I think he said, he told me that he uses his friends to actually voice these sort of things. How cool is that, dude? Like, I've now got a microphone, I've got a stand, I've even got a windshield, and I'd love to do some voice acting for Skyrim stuff. And I'm even willing to throw my voice into there for a character. Like, I mean, I don't know, there's always a character I'd love to play, like a dark sort of tomb sort of character, like a, who comes to my tomb? Some sort of dark shit like that. But I don't know, man. I would love to lend my voice to one of these guys' stories if he's ever got a character that he needs a voice. Or, you know, just a fair dinkum Australian fella, you know, walk around Skyrim having a good old time. Something like that. Now, again, what he does here, one of my absolutely favourite characters of his is a character who is, I don't even know how to say this properly, an Amaris Mora bard. Yes, he's a bard that's a Mora cultist, that's immortal, that's dark and menacing and evil and stuff like that. So this guy does some pretty wild characters. Like, all my characters in my story are a generic template for what they serve. You know, the heroic Dragonborn, Golden Heart, the Imperial Soldier, the Nord Stormcloak Soldier, the hardy companion that likes to use heavy armor and a big long sword, loves to drink, loves to have sex, the mage that wants to study and learn and explore and all that crap. It's all your typical, but he does some wild shit, and I love that. And I even love the fact that he doesn't even use voice AI. He actually gets himself to voice it, or he gets his friends to voice it, which is fucking awesome. I love that. So you guys should definitely go check his channel out. This guy has got a lot of, and like, look at that man. Like, I'm a bit of a jealous prick right now. He gets 1.7k views on this sort of thing. Like, fuck yeah. Give me some. But anyway, I'm going to end this video here before I start going off in a completely fucking other direction. If you have watched this far, cheers for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and what even ideas, like fucking things you'd love to see, things you think you're going to see. I always love hearing those and all that sort of stuff. Just let me know what you guys think in the comments, because that's always fun to communicate back to you guys. Anyway, I'm out of here. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in another video.